Hi there, I'm Chef Instructor Bill Briwa here at the Culinary Institute of America, and today I'm going to be cooking with a Prosciutto di Parma. This is a ham made in the Parma region of Italy that is denomination of origin protected. It's a natural product that uses traditional methods, and when they cure this ham, the only thing they add to it is sea salt. By the time Prosciutto di Parma is ready to be exported to the United States, it's been aged for a minimum of 400 days. If you look here, you can see the beautiful fat and the meat, but if I turn it over, what you will notice is a little brand right here. It's the Parma crown that identifies this as the real deal. Now, I've trimmed this a little bit. I cut off the skin, and I cut off any discolored fat, and at this point, I'm ready to work with this ham. So I'm going to set this ham aside. What might surprise you is that this quintessential Italian ham is going into a salad that is every bit as Asian as this ham is Italian. I'm going to make a soba noodle salad. So to begin with, I need to make a dressing for the salad. And I've got the ingredients laid out here. First, I'm going to add some soy sauce and some sugar. We'll give the sugar an opportunity to dissolve. I'm going to add grated ginger. Here is a little bit of rice wine vinegar, a little bit of toasted sesame oil, and then finally mirin. Now, mirin is a sweetened sake. It lends a viscosity to the dressing that you might ordinarily get from oil, and also a sweet flavor. The alcohol in the sake makes this dressing more aromatic, and consequently it comes across as more flavorful. Anyhow, that's the dressing. It's very, very simple to put together, and I'm going to use this dressing not just as a dressing for the salad, but I'm going to also use it as a marinade. So if you take a look, I've got some shiitake mushrooms here. I'm going to soy and sesame roast these shiitake mushrooms by adding some of this dressing as a marinade and tossing them and then putting them into the oven to roast. The balance will be the dressing for our salad. So just toss these so that they absorb the flavor of the marinade. I've got a pan in the oven already that should be nice and hot. And I'm going to take these mushrooms and just add them to the pan. And back into the oven. You want them to get tender, and I would say they'll probably take maybe 10 minutes to cook. All right, so that's step one. Now, let's talk about the soba noodles. I have some soba noodles here that are already cooked. You can find soba noodles in an Asian grocery. I've got these right here. These are relatively fine, but regardless of what brand you buy or what size they are, they have a very specific set of instructions, and that is you bring a pot of water, salted water, to a boil. You add the noodles. When it returns to a boil, you add a cup of cold water. And what that does is it stops the boiling so that the action in the pan is not too aggressive. When it comes back to a boil, you add a cup of cold water. Buckwheat noodles are delicate enough that if they boil hard, they will sort of break apart in the action of boiling. And so by adding cold water right up until you're ready to take them out of the water, that gives you the perfect environment to cook them in. All right, so these have been cooked already. If they stick together a little bit, don't add oil to them. Instead, just wait until you add the dressing, because the dressing will make them loosen and come apart. Now, what are we going to put into this? Well, I've got a couple of different things that I'm going to put in here. The first I'd like to tell you about is Hijiki. Hijiki is a seaweed, and one of the things I love about it is the savory flavor of the ocean that you get from it. It comes to you dried, you rehydrate it in water, but when you look at the label, what you're going to discover is a lot of fiber, about 8 grams of fiber per third of an ounce. 40% of your daily requirement for iron goes in here, and there's no fat, no carbohydrates. So we're going to add the Hijiki that's been rehydrated. I've got some carrots here that have been first julienned and then blanched. That's there for flavor and color. This is edamame, or fresh soy, and they lend nutrition and a pop of color. Green onions. I'm going to add this dressing right now so that the noodles can begin the process of absorbing some of that really delicious dressing. When you're dealing with slicing of prosciutto di Parma, you may have slices that don't come out perfect. You may also have slices that are smaller because they come from closer to the shank end of the ham. And it would be a shame to waste those. And so my suggestion here, and I'll show you what I've got, is a couple of slices. They don't have the fat on the outside that I was looking for in other applications. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to fry them gently in olive oil until they crisp up. That way they're not lost to me. Instead, they become a textural and a flavorful element of this salad right here. If you don't like the idea of frying in olive oil as I'm doing here, you can also put them onto a sheet pan between silicone mats and just bake them in the oven. Maybe brush them with a little oil and they will crisp up just as well. Keep your eye on it, and as that bubbling begins to subside and you begin to see some browning on the ham, that is enough cooking. Here are some of our mushrooms, all done. Shiitakes are kind of an interesting mushroom in that most mushrooms are loaded with water. Shiitakes tend to be a little bit drier, and for that reason they cook a little bit quicker. They don't bleed out a tremendous amount of moisture. I think it's always a good idea to give them a little taste. I can taste the soy and the sesame. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, and then those are going to make their way into the salad as well. Okay, at this point our ham has cooled enough, and I'm going to bring it over. And you can see how crispy it's become. Maybe I'll save one piece as a nice garnish. But the balance I'm just going to cut into pieces. Now, if you want this to stay crispy, you need to be ready to serve this salad. So I'm going to commit to serving this salad very quickly here. It's a beautiful salad, actually, as it comes together. The pops of color that you get from carrot and edamame, plus the red of the ham and the dark color of the seaweed and the mushrooms. Then I think a little piece of this crisp prosciutto might be a nice idea on the top here. I'm going to prop it up against a mushroom. And then, as you can see, I've got some beautiful slices of prosciutto di Parma right here, and I would say these are the ones that you want to reserve for tenting alongside the dish so that people can enjoy the prosciutto di Parma in two distinct ways. One crispy, and the other shredded like that. Now, for fun, I have some breadsticks right here, and the reality is that these might be served ordinarily with the prosciutto di Parma, and if this were in Japan and we were having a soba noodle salad, this then would be chopsticks. So there's the dish, soba noodle salad with crispy prosciutto di Parma, fresh prosciutto di Parma on the side, and a really wonderful vegetable garniture of sesame roasted mushrooms.